How do you exploit weaknesses in your opponent's position in the King's Indian? If you are curious about how to take advantage of weaknesses in your opponent's position while playing the King's Indian defense, you are in for a treat. This opening is all about strategy and understanding your opponent's moves. Let's break it down step by step. The King's Indian defense begins with the moves pawn to d4, knight to f6, pawn to c4, and pawn to g6. In this setup, Black allows White to control the center initially. This can lead to opportunities for Black to challenge White's position later in the game. One key aspect to consider is identifying weaknesses. When White occupies the center, they may overextend their pawns. If you notice this, it is a perfect chance to strike back. You can play pawn to c5 or pawn to b5 to challenge White's central control. This can create weaknesses in their position that you can exploit. Another point to keep in mind is the placement of Black's bishop. While it is strong on the kingside diagonal, it can become less flexible. If you find that White is trying to limit the mobility of your bishop, look for ways to exchange it or reposition it to maintain your attacking potential. Focusing on the kingside is essential for Black. You want to create a strong attack there. If you can launch your pieces effectively, you can put pressure on White's position. White should be prepared to defend against this by placing their pieces strategically to block your attacking lines. On the other hand, if you notice that your opponent is heavily focused on the kingside, this can create vulnerabilities on the queenside. White can take advantage of this by launching their own attack there. Moves like pawn to b4 can help gain space and create threats against Black's position. In practical terms, make sure your pieces are developed harmoniously. This means they should work together to support both your defense and your attacks. Managing your pawn structure is also vital. Control key squares and limit your opponent's mobility to keep them on the back foot. Timing is everything in chess. Wait for the right moment to launch your counterattack or exploit weaknesses in your opponent's position. By applying these strategies, you can effectively take advantage of weaknesses in your opponent's position while playing the King's Indian defense. Remember, understanding these concepts will help you become a more formidable player in this opening.